So what does an insertion sort do? Well, it takes the value of the current array position, it moves the larger values up in the array, and puts the original value in the appropriate array location. So in this example you can see that the array in the middle, 13 and 19 have swapped, but it's different from bubble sort in that when you move the index up, insert item goes into the left hand side, and then current item decreases from index -1 down to 0. And when it gets to 0, then the item is placed in the empty spot. In this last case, 4 is moved into insert item, current item is turned to 3, 19 is moved up, and compared, 13 is compared to 4, it's still not bigger than that number, so it moves up, 13 moves up, current item is changed to 1, 4 is compared to 7, 7 is higher than 4, so 7 moves up, current item changes to 0, and 4 moves into the empty spot. And then you end up with a sorted, ascending sorted numeric array. So this is the insertion sort pseudocode that you'll have to learn. So note that the fixed loop starts at number position 2 and it goes up to the length of the array. Then we set a variable called insert item to the contents of the array at that location, remember starting at 2, and then we set an integer value of current item to be whatever index is -1. And then we test, so we have a while loop, and we test to see if the array element at the current item position, if that's higher than insert item, and the value of current item is greater than 0. Then if that's the case, or while that's the case, we move the item at current item position up 1, and we decrease the value of current item. So it starts at 1, it changes to 0, etc. And then that continues until all of the lower numbers have been moved up, and then there's a gap for insert item to be placed in. And if it gets as far as all the items are moved up, then there's a gap at the very start. And the last thing we do is we set current item +1 position of my array to hold the value of insert item. Something to note, I don't know if you maybe realise, but the array in this instance has to be a one-dimensional array, and it has to start at array position 1 for the pseudocode to work. This is a disadvantage of an insertion sort, because you're essentially just sacrificing the 0 element. So you don't store anything in the 0 element, or the 0th element. You store it in the first, second and third element. For example, we end up with 4, 7 and 13, as per the last slide. But the downside is that in order to make the while loop work, you have to sacrifice the 0th element in your array.